Hello and welcome to the Keep Your Cool Mama podcast, where we are encouraging the everyday mom to pursue her dreams and discover her own greatness. Hey, cool mamas. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Keep Your Cool Mama podcast. I'm your host, Sheilah, and I'm happy to be back with you guys. I really do appreciate the great feedback for episode 1 titled Dreaming with a Purpose. I got some really cool feedback from some fellow mamas that enjoyed the episode. I really do appreciate all of your kind words and support. And I hope that you'll continue to tune in and always feel free to send me some feedback and let me know how you guys felt about the episode. You can email me at keepyourcoolmama. keepyourcoolmama@gmail.com. And I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts. What were a few of your takeaways? What resonated with you? And, just let me know how you felt about it. And I would love to hear from you. Today, we're going to talk about me. One of the is actually a subject that is very difficult for me to talk about is myself. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but talking about me and my story is something that I'm trying to get better at. I think it's very important for us to share our own stories so that we can encourage another mom, another woman, anyone that can learn something from our own personal struggles, things we've gotten through, things we currently are going through and trying new things to help us out. I think it's just really important that we share our stories because we can all benefit from learning how someone else dealt with situations and what brought them through. So I'm trying to get better at talking about myself in a more, positive way, because of course those doubts and fears can get in the way of us telling our story. So I'm going to do that today. I think it's fair that I talk more about my story just so that you guys can just get a feel for who I am, and if you're going to listen to this podcast, I want you to get an understanding of where I'm coming from, where my story started, so that, when I'm giving advice, that this is coming from a real place and that I genuinely care and that I'm still growing too. So as far as who Sheilah is, just a few attributes that I want to go over. I can say that I'm definitely an encourager, naturally an encourager. I have always been someone who tries to see the bigger picture, the brighter side of things. Always trying to help people feel better and bring them as much joy as I personally can. I love to see people happy. And, I've always been like that ever since I was a little girl. I just remember just encouraging anyone who needed it. And I continue to do that. And I'm also a cheerleader. I'm a natural cheerleader. I was never a cheerleader in school when I was younger, but when it comes to cheering people on to be great and to do great, that's always been who I am. No matter what's going on in my life, I always like to let people know that I'm proud of them and that they can do what it is that they want to do. And I root people on constantly. And I do think that those two attributes, as far as being an encourager and a cheerleader for others, is definitely something that comes from God. That definitely isn't something that just comes from me and that I decided to be. I think that it was already set forth before I was born. Like God knew that that's who I was and that's who he wanted me to be for others. And being an encourager and a cheerleader for others, it really helps when I am sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ to others, having the type of positive attitude that I try to have on a daily basis. So speaking of Jesus, another thing about me is that I'm a lover of Jesus Christ. I'm Team Jesus all day. And I know what he has done personally in my life and in the lives of others. And I'm a believer through and through. And I've learned that as I've gotten older, because I've known and believed in Jesus since I was a little girl. But as I've grown older and have had experiences and I've gone through some things, my love for Jesus has grown tremendously. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the relationship that I have. And I'm grateful for the roots that were placed before me, before I even got here, in my family, to make sure that I knew who Jesus was. And I'm also a lover of love. This one thing I learned about myself is that I love all things love, and I love to see people treating each other kindly. I cringe when people are treating each other with anything not love. And I love, the relationships that people have with their significant others. I love the relationships that people have with their siblings, which I have an awesome relationship with my siblings. And I'm also a lover of the relationships between a parent and child. And when things are just, when love is shown in such a pure, loving way, caring way, I love that. And I love to see people happy and enjoying each other's company. Another thing I am is super silly, like sometimes way too silly, where my husband is looking at me like, what is wrong with you, girl? I've always been silly. From the time I was younger, my sister and I would just laugh all the time, like to the point where we would get on my mom's last nerve. And my boys actually remind me so much of my sister and I and how much we would laugh when we were younger. So I'm super silly. And again, almost way too silly for my own good. But I think it's just, laughter is good. It's good for your body. It's good for your mind. And I love to make others laugh. And, surprisingly, like people would always tell me when I was little, like, you're funny. And I would think to myself, really? You think? I didn't think I was funny. I was just being me. But yeah, I love to make other people laugh. But another thing about who I am and I've discovered is that I'm still learning about who Sheilah is. I'm still trying to figure that out. And learning that knowing who I am is a process that never ends, because I am forever changing. And we're always, all of us are always changing, because we go through different things in life where it teaches us different things, and things that require growth. We're forever changing. Our likes change, our dislikes change, our views about things change. Sometimes our perspectives change. So when those things are put into place, it just makes you realize that we don't stay the same, and we're forever changing. And I think when we realize that, we stop being so hard on ourselves about not knowing who we are. So after getting frustrated about not knowing who I am, I realized that I was making it way too complicated. I started focusing on who I was in the current moment. what's going on right now. I think we get a better idea of who we are when we look at how we're doing in certain situations. I would think about, what did I like about who I was in those really good, noticeable moments when I was proud of myself, and what I wanted to change about myself in those bad moments when I was not so proud of myself, or, those moments that really changed me. And I have started to take all the good and flawed things about myself to God, and asked Him to reveal more about these things that He wanted me to know. I felt like eventually, I felt as though He was trying to speak to me in certain moments and letting me know more about myself, because I would ask Him to teach me more about me. And I would ask, where do these good traits come from? The things that make me proud. And I wanted to know, is it how you want me to show up in the world, in other people's lives? Is this rooted in you? Or, I would also ask, why do I behave like this in certain areas of my life where the moments I wasn't necessarily proud of how I acted, or reacted? I would ask God to help me help me understand why I do what I do. Where does this come from? What is it rooted in? What do you want me to learn from this? And through this self-work and consulting God, I am learning more and more about who Sheilah is. And in those moments when you are, like, if you take it by moment and trying to understand who you are, and you take those moments and you ask those questions, then you'll get those answers and understanding, who am I? And I think as moms, we start to realize, the parts about ourselves that we forget about because we're so focused on being a good mom and showing up for our kids, that we forget to think about who we are. And God can answer those questions for us, and we can get clear about those things through Him. So the shift of understanding more about myself happened for me when I turned 30 years old. I started noticing that I wasn't truly happy with my personal relationship with God and myself. I wasn't treating myself right, whether it was through the self-talk or talk to myself negatively. Although I'm an encourager, I would encourage myself a whole lot less. I wasn't talking to myself with love, and I wasn't giving God the time that He deserved. I mean, here He is waking me up every morning, breathing air and breath into my body, allowing me to, keeping me safe throughout the day, giving me a home to live in with my family, having 3 beautiful sons, a wonderful husband, great friends, great mom, dad, sister, brother, and a host of family. And I wasn't even giving Him the time that He deserved. And I started to not be okay with that. And I was understanding that the unfulfillment that I was having was coming from the lack of time that I was spending with my God. So I wasn't being intentional about loving me or God. I just wasn't. I knew I wanted and deserved more. I wanted and I deserved more. And through more time with God, I realized that I wasn't living out the life God was calling me to. I was doing less than I should have been doing. I was settling. I wasn't doing enough. Talking to people, the talking that I was doing to people about Jesus, it was all right. It was cute, but it wasn't enough. And I wasn't doing what God put me on this earth to do. I just wasn't. I thought that being a wife and a mother was the last stop for me. I thought that I really, ladies, when I say this with all seriousness. I really thought that God just wanted me to be a mom and a wife, and that nothing was about me, and that it was all about them, which started me forgetting about myself and my needs, my wants, and doing what God called me to do. But as Jesus continued to fill my heart with his love, I started believing more and more in his promises. Now, I've heard the scripture, Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 27, over and over again since I was a little girl. But it didn't stick to my heart until I was in my 30s. And the scripture goes, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And I started understanding that I was made in his image. I started understanding what that meant, which meant, in short, of course, we can go on and on about that scripture because it's huge when we talk about purpose and who we are within God. But I started realizing more and more that he wants greater for me. While I'm over here settling, God is waiting for me to do more so that he can really show me the life that he has for me. So living a good life, I was starting to realize that it wasn't just for everyone else, because I would see everyone else thriving and doing exciting things and having, the type of ministries that change lives. And I was just thinking like, wow, like, I guess that's just for those people. I guess it's not for me. But God told me it is for you. And that I can get in on this. I can really get in on this God's purpose. On God's purpose. I can get in on that too. It's not just for everybody else. And that self-worth that I was searching for was in God the whole time. The whole time. And once I got that, it changed everything for me. And in understanding who Sheilah is and all of that in between. So now that I've become more intentional about living my life, and knowing that it is not my own life, this intentionality has caused me to be more aware and mindful about parenting my boys. So this shift happened for me about 3 years ago. And, although I've always had a close relationship with my children, I've been more intentional about the types of conversations that we have. And, I just think that the talking part has been huge for us, and letting them feel comfortable with coming to me and their dad about anything that's going on with them, teaching them about the love of Jesus, which is something that I've been trying to teach them about since they came into this world. But the more I learned about Jesus's love, and the more I learned about God, I started to share that with my children, and that has changed their worlds. And they have started to discover their own gifts because they're growing within Jesus themselves. So I am extending the love that God has put in my heart and is showing in my life to my children. And it's helping them for the better. And it's going to help their children for the better. And so on and so forth. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the relationship that I have with my children and the love that they have for Jesus because of the love that he's shown me. This clarity about life that has been recently found by me is it's given me a new vision, a new set of spiritual eyes. I see things different now. Like the clarity in which I see life and what it's for and understanding God, like it's real. And without this clarity, I would be missing out on noticing the smallest things in life. And especially when it comes to my boys growing up, I just feel like there are certain things that can only be seen with spiritual eyes, in which God gives us and helping us to understand things in a different light. And when it comes to my children, I actually have a special story to share, which actually happened yesterday. My 4-year-old son, we have been talking with him about the importance of telling the truth and making sure that he understands what it is. And it has been a process. And yesterday, he was caught in a lie, to which he continued to deny. He continued to deny that he did what he did. And I knew that he had done wrong, and I kept trying to let him know, I know what happened. Tell mommy the truth. And I explained to him what the truth was, the importance of telling the truth, what a lie is, and why it's important that we do not lie. And as I told him about these two different things and their differences, he broke down in tears, and as he understood it, he understood more that, okay, I understand what a lie is, and this isn't what I want to do. I don't want to lie. And he cried and he cried. He cried for a good 30 minutes, and I tried to explain to him the importance of understanding why something was a mistake, learning from it, and moving on. And when you move on, you understand that you're going to do your best not to make those same mistakes again. And he came to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, Mommy, I feel bad. And I said, well, what do you mean, baby? Why do you feel bad? He said, I don't know. I just feel bad. So in that moment, I was able to get and understand that he was experiencing sadness for the first time. And that was huge for me. And seeing that, I could see it in his face. It was an expression that I had never seen from him. And I understood that this is the first time that he has experienced this emotion. I can talk him through this. When my other two boys were his age, I don't remember what age they were when they experienced sadness for the first time. And that was during the time when my relationship with Christ was not as strong as it is. And my clarity wasn't as clear as it is now. And so when I say that without the clarity, I would be missing out on noticing the smallest things, although that was small, like that was huge. I got to witness firsthand my son experiencing an emotion for the first time and being able to help him through that when he experienced it for the first time. I don't know if you guys get how heavy and not heavy, but how powerful that is. But in this journey of understanding myself and knowing who I am, I've realized that in that moment, if I had not gone on the journey that I went on, I would have missed it. And I wouldn't have known that I missed it, but it helps me to appreciate moments like that even more. So, as excruciatingly painful as finding yourself and knowing yourself and it can be, because it really can be painful, because you learn about things that you're not so fond about yourself, and working through those habits, and breaking those bad habits, and learning about those things that aren't so good. Even with those moments, it's worth it. It's worth knowing more about yourself. Um, and I've also, in understanding myself, I also have a growing desire to heal emotionally and spiritually, which it has happened in a sense, but I want to go deeper with that. And there's actually a book. It was actually the book that I was talking with you guys about last week. It's called Emotionally Healthy Spiritually. Very good book. I'm on the first chapter, and whew, some of those, like a sentence hit me so hard it had me in tears. It just has me thinking about the work that I've done and the work that I still have to do. But understanding that emotional health within spirituality, oh my gosh, and having God lead you and guide you through that. Like, emotional health is huge when it comes to your spirituality. And that's one thing that I have been focusing on to help myself heal over time, because I've had some trials and some tribulations, just like I'm sure all of you have had. And with motherhood, it has caused me to overlook those things, because being a mom is it's a busy job. And sometimes you can't think about yourself in those moments where you're being a mom, but we have to take that time. We have to take that time to focus on our own emotional, spiritual, and physical health. We have to. And through finding out more about myself, I've learned the importance of that, and I want to share that with you guys. And the author of this book, Emotionally Healthy Spiritually, is Peter Scazzero. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's spelled Scazzero. So I hope that if you are in the process of knowing who you are, and you desire to know who you are within Christ, I hope that this episode helps you to get closer to that answer that you're looking for. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that God will lead you and guide you to that place that you desire to go deeper in knowing who you are. And just start with daily questions, and just asking yourself how you feel, what are you thinking, and having those moments of silence. Because remember what I said last episode, there is clarity in silence. So find some time to sit with yourself, sit with your thoughts, and figure a few things out. You're worth it. God thinks you're worth it. If you don't think you're worth it, just know that God thinks you're worth it, and I think you're worth it. So thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. I hope that it was helpful. Let me know what resonated with you, what some takeaways were. Follow me on Instagram at Keepyourcoolmama, and also on Facebook at Keepyourcoolmama. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And I love you guys. And if you have any questions, again, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer on the podcast, please send me an email also to keepyourcoolmama@gmail.com. And if you don't want to answer on the podcast, that's totally fine. Just let me know when you send me the email. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you listening today, and have a good one. Bye-bye.